want you to write him a copy of the law so that he can not only live by it, but rule by it. Gary Hart, you remember back in the 90s, Gary Hart talks, he's caught in adultery. Bill Clinton is caught in at best, adultery, if not rape, while he's in office. Maybe not as president, but certainly as governor and different things like that. He's caught in these things. He has these whole things going, and everybody says, it's just what he does. It's his hobby, And but I'm telling you that there are enough people out there who know all the dirty secrets of all these politicians who use that against them, and it's no wonder we have what's going on in our country right now. God's just right 100% of the time. Here we're talking about Google monitoring everybody. Here's one. New speed cameras trap motorists from space. A new type of speed camera which can use satellites to measure average speed over long distances are being tested in Britain. The cameras, which combine number plate reading technology with a global positioning satellite receiver, are similar to those used in roadworks. The AA said it believed the new system could cover a network of streets as opposed to a straight line and was probably geared up to zones and residential areas. They're going to be watching you from 30, 60, 100 miles up in space. I don't know how far that is. They're going to be watching you from outer space. Okay, 300 miles from outer space. So they're going to be watching you and checking how fast it takes you to get from one point to another. You can just imagine there's a cop sitting up there with a radar gun going down like that, going, yeah, Houston, we got him. Folks, we're fixing to be watched in every area of our life, and I will tell you Christians, I will tell you believers, if you've got things hidden in the closet, now's the time to give them out and give them to Jesus, because I'm telling you they're going to monitor everything that you're doing, probably already are, cell phone conversations, emails, this and that and the other. Everything is being monitored, and now our speed, and by the way, let me pull this back here, because I just had a thought. I don't think for a second that this satellite watching speeders go up and down the road, I don't think for a second that that's really what it's up there for. Okay? And you shouldn't either. Biometrics a worry? They're already here. A new wave of controversy is developing in Washington over ways to deal with illegal immigration as senators consider using biometrics, the unchangeable physical attributes of fingerprints or other identifying marks. President Reagan likened the 1981 biometric plan to the biblical mark of the beast. And even President Clinton said the idea evoked Big Brother, according to a key opponent. But biometrics already is in use in schools nationwide, with one company boasting that some 1 million students use its fingerprint-based technology for student lunches. I had to laugh when I was reading this. The issue arose over the last week in the Summit School District in New Jersey, where officials confirmed their schools are being set up with biometrics on a building-by-building basis. Parents at Washington Elementary recently received a notice that the school was implementing a biometric finger scanning identification program in an effort to provide our elementary students with a safe, here it is now, a safe and easy way to identify themselves when entering the school and using the cafeteria. They're not worried about them stealing books out of the library. You know what? It's like they're worried about some kid getting in line at the lunch line at school and stealing a $2.50 lunch. And so we're going to go to biometrics. We're going to scan their fingerprint. We're going to swab their mouth and get their DNA. And we're going to have it. When I was in school, I'm getting to the age now where I'm starting to tell my kids, yeah, back when I was a little lad, back in the old days, this is how we used to do it. We had a little card like this, and this was as high-tech as it was. It was this green lunch card, and it was pre-printed by the school, and it had an identifying mark on it, my name. And the teacher would write my name on there and write the teacher's name on there, and it had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we would go in, and there was a lady sitting there at our elementary school with a mole on her face with hair growing out of it. But she was a really nice lady. And they would take that, and we would stand there in line, and we would present our card, and she would go, clip, like that, and we would take our card, and we would give it back to the teacher. We didn't have to show our driver's license, lay our palm down on a scanner. Here again, if you believe that this has anything to do with your kids and somebody stealing lunch money. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my life. Identification, monitoring, making sure that everybody's where they are, doing what they're... And you know what? You know what? Let me play... I don't want to play devil's advocate here because I'll never advocate for the devil. But let me just play this advocate here, okay? We are a lawless society in this country. There's no doubt in my mind about it. There are people out there who are sneaky, vile. They are lawless. They're sinful. They will steal people blind. They will do anything in the world for anything they can get their hands on. And you know what? We've just gotten to a place in our society that our founders feared would happen. Our founders believed that as long as the Bible was the law for people's lives, then the Constitution should remain limited and the laws of the country should remain limited. But systematically, we have removed the Bible from our lives, from our churches, from everything in life. We've removed that Bible, and so now we have to have new laws, new monitoring systems. They were talking on radio this week up in North St. Louis, high crime area. They're talking about putting cameras on street corners, and somebody said, "Oh, that's not going to work." Well, I'll tell you what, if you knew that you were being monitored, you wouldn't. I mean, you always know if somebody's looking, you're not going to do anything. But this is where we're headed. Do I advocate it? Man, I don't know. Because, see, if I'm not doing anything wrong, I really don't have anything to worry about. Yeah, I want some privacy in my life and my marriage and my family and things like that. And I know they don't stop there. But I'll tell you that I would like the guy down the street monitored. I'll tell you, I would like some of the people in this town monitored. And so I'll tell you, we're getting what we've got coming in this country. This is what it is. And we all know where it's leading to. Okay? Total domination and total control. That's where it's leading to. One of our watchers sent me this. And I tell you what, I don't like to take credit for anything. I really don't. And you know I was just kidding about being on that list. Okay? I'm going, man, I'm glad I'm not on the list. I don't care if my name gets out on a list or doesn't end up on a list. I don't want to take credit for anything. That's why we give our videos away. My goodness, we're practically giving our books away. And the copyrights and things like that. I mean, I don't care who gets the credit for the information that we put out. I really don't. But one of the things that I know that our ministry helps people do is that it helps people see symbols. And so you can look on the back of Dan Brown's book and you can see symbols and you go, hey, I was watching the Watchman broadcast and I saw what that means and I know what that means. And they're becoming aware of what's going on. So one of our watchers, and I would encourage you to do this, look for a company or a corporation that has a brand logo that all of a sudden they're going to change their logo because everybody's doing it now. They're going to augment it a certain way so that some new age mystic occult symbol pops up. So here's a guy, sends me his website of this hospital, this new health system, this hospital in his area, and he said, Pastor Mike, they changed their logo, and he said, I saw that, and I'm going, I got to send this to Pastor Mike. I mean, take a look at it. It's called the Sparrow Health System. Look where it says the Art of Healing. Now, if you've seen our video on the Pinnacle of Power, or practically any of our other videos, we talk about this symbol. It is half of a skull and crossbones. The crossbones represent the X chromosome where our DNA is, and the skull represents the Antichrist. They're fused together. But then look here where it says Sparrow Health System New. Sparrow unveils new brand identity, signaling, here it is, a new era for healthcare in mid-Michigan. And stop and think about just the language that they're using. We're on a new world, a new journey, a new era in healthcare. And so you look at their logo. Duh, this is the fusion of opposites. One is above and one is below. And joined together, they form the Mandorla, which is the sacred feminine symbol, and it represents Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Speaking of Mystery Babylon the Great, let me get my book back here. The Two Babylons. And I have read, it's one of these things that